this time of year, it seems. And the impala and wildebeest seem quite relaxed. We heard what we thought was an alarm call as we were coming out, but we think it's just the rutting impala doing their thing. There hasn't been any more sort of shouts and screams. But as always, we are listening with our noses to the ground, looking for the tracks and the signs of the bush. But it's a marvelous day for predators to be moving. It's set to be overcast with potential rain at some point today. So the savanna biome is really getting confused this season. But it seems as if Ralph is back up and online. So let's go over to him to say good morning.
Yes, good morning indeed, everybody, and welcome aboard on the Sunrise Safari here in Djuma in the Greater Kruger National Park of South Africa. My name is Ralph Kirsten, and on the camera we've got Davy. There's my trusty wingman there. Now, please don't forget to join us on the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter and on the YouTube live chat. Send us your questions and your comments and join us on this wonderful game drive, and one of the largest in the world, with everybody able to jump on board with us. Now, this morning is rather overcast. It seems we've had a whole front that has pushed up from the southwest. Cape Town has been very lucky. They've had some wonderful rain over the last few days, and we're now getting the tail end of it. So it's very overcast. It's about 18 degrees Celsius, hitting that 64, 65 degrees Fahrenheit region. And my plan for this morning is we're heading straight down towards Twin Dams. We're going to have a quick look in there, and then we're going to maybe follow up on where Thandi and the cub were last seen yesterday with that Steenbok kill with Brent, and we'll see what's been happening there overnight. Maybe they're there, maybe they're not. It was quite a small little Steenbok that they had, so the potential is that they might not be there, but maybe there's some hyena activity, maybe there's some other leopards, maybe Tingana Hosana will show up, who knows. But very exciting start, and let's head on out and see what happens. It's still quite dark. The light is just starting to come through, so that's why I've actually had my spotlights out, and we've been spotting things as we've been going along. Lots of the night animals still out, and well, we're going to just hope that this morning is going to be action-packed. And while we head down now to Twin Dams, let's head you on over to Brent out on foot.
Morning, morning, morning. It is a dark, ominous and stormy morning here in the Sabi Sands, South Africa. My name is Brent Leo Smith. I have Sebastian Rombi on camera. And we're going to see what we can find. So our plan is to head down Zoe, see if we can find any sign of leopard, and then loop down towards Treehouse Dam. And hopefully we will find something. If not, there's always wonderful little things to look at. So it's quite dark at the moment, so we're walking very slowly and checking very carefully. We don't want to stumble upon a buffalo bull and hopefully spots, or doesn't spot us before we spot him. Julie, I intend to look for those lines when I get further down to the south. Unfortunately, Julie, I've got a sneaking suspicion that my ears tell me those lines are calling off Djuma. So they are, from what I heard this morning, I'd say they are in Little Gowrie, Hoffman, somewhere that side. Probably the Avocas. I'm sure they probably march straight through the middle of Djuma, heading down to that area, claiming slabs of land from the Birmingham boys. So we'll see. Will it cause the Birmingham boys to make a run up to the north? I've got a sneaky suspicion that maybe one or two more runs up from the Birmingham boys before they decide that this northern area is not worth their while. It should be quite... Lazy hyena decided to have a nap in the road here. You can just see where it was lying down. Now, often when you see tracks like that, you stop to look for lion tracks and whatnot, but this just looks like a lazy hyena decided to take a break on the road here. Rolled around a bit. Looks like it's got was too far to walk last night, so I decided to have a nap in the middle of the road. Okay, we're going to keep moving, catch up with Rex, who's up ahead of us. While we do that, let's send you back to Steve to see what he's looking for.
Well, we're looking for tracks. As always, concentric circles out of camp. One of the other lodge vehicles has gone down that road. We've done a nice little loop of quarantine, no signs of anything yet, but that is the most important thing about coming out in the morning, is making sure you cover all the ground, look at all the roads, all the possible areas. If there are tracks, much easier to follow up on that. And it's wonderful having the bushwalk team out, because no doubt if they do pick up on some tracks, they have been on fire in the last few weeks. Or if we pick up on tracks, they can probably move into the area and help us. A little bit easier on foot to follow these animals. And as I said, we're going to slowly head west, see what the Shadulu female has been up to, and obviously barring her not being there, we'll come up with another plan. Things are very dynamic out here, bearing in mind this is all 100% live. Anything could happen. Lots of hyena activity around. I'm sure Ralph is choking at the bit to try and find a hyena den. They just seem to cover this entire area non-stop. It always amazes me. I mean, I worked at a reserve last year called Salati, big reserve, and we really wanted to find a hyena den site. So one day I decided to backtrack some hyena, and took us about 4 hours, and eventually we gave up. They just seem to cover entire areas, and then there seems to be no sort of area that they were accumulating in. You'd find these game paths where the tracks would get busier and busier, going in two ways. You think, oh, we're nearly there, and then it splits again, and then same again, and eventually after 3 hours we're like, okay, well, we've still got to walk back. So we gave up on that one. They're not as lazy as the larger cats, lions and leopards. They then definitely seem to run and cover enormous areas every evening. Here we've got a guinea fowl alarm calling, which, as you've probably realized in the past, is a very, very good warning sign. Although the other morning they were doing something very similar close to camp, and we never found anything. Sometimes this is just a contact call, which can be confusing, but I'm going to keep going a little bit further around and come back onto there. Something in the road? Really? Brent, are they alarm calling at you? What do you see, Vildy? Oh, hello. You can hear a bearded woodpecker calling there, and there we've got a giraffe who is looking towards something. Let's go have a little spot, shall we? Brett reckons the guinea fowl alarm calling at him. I've never had guinea fowl alarm call like that at me, but then I'm a vegetarian, so maybe they know there's no foul play when it comes to me. Did you like that one? Was it too early in the morning for a joke like that, Kirst? Hello, sir. This is the same guy we had last night. He's got that funny little scab on the top of his ossicone, his left ossicone. And this, for those of you watching, is the southern giraffe, not the same as the giraffes we find up in the Mara. Different spot patterns. Obviously they are related. So the giraffe is staring away from us there, and I know everyone's excited to find giraffe. This guy is quite a prominent feature on Djuma. He likes to spend some time, and we're getting him quite regularly. I'm sure he's hoping some ladies are going to move into the area. But he's staring off. Giraffe can also be very reliable. Can you see bushwalk there? Okay, so he's looking at bushwalk. You can see how very sort of obvious the giraffe's body function or body is at the moment, with his ears and his face, and he's busy staring at the tall Brent Leo Smith and Sebastian Rombi as they walk through the wilderness with Rexon. So that is exactly what you're looking for when you're looking for a predator. And giraffe will stare at a lion and a leopard like that, not making a sound, but because they're so tall, they are very, very useful. The guinea fowl have stopped alarm calling altogether, so I'm guessing it was just a little bit of a contact call. They do go really crazy if they spot a predator. And here the giraffe is relaxing again, asserting that he is still the tallest on the landscape. Beautiful. It's quite interesting how he's got that little scab on the one ossicone. There we go. Stretching all those muscles to pull the ligament in the back of the neck down. It requires a lot of effort to pull the head down. Dr. Rob, yes, I think he has got a piercing. It's probably from a thorn in his ear that's left that little hole there. When giraffe run, they can move at very good speeds, and if they are being chased by something, they'll go straight through the vegetation, and every now and again a thorn might catch on their skin. And in this case it seems as if he's got a little hole on the ear. Don't think it's going to affect him too much. He's still a little bit concerned about bushwalk team, but he's also enjoying a nice meal of that beautiful sickle bush. So for him to push his head down like that requires muscles in the front of the neck that actually pull the ligament. There's a ligament running all the way along the back of the giraffe's neck that actually pulls it back up to that sort of 45 or 50 degree angle where it sits perfectly normal. There, that exact sort of angle requires no effort for the giraffe to hold its neck there, but to pull it down to feed or to drink requires muscles. There's pulling, and then that's why when you watch a giraffe drink, they can go from right below their shoulder line, right down on the ground, right back up to the sort of that 50 degree vertical without any effort. It just flings back up there because that's just the release of the muscles, and that ligament just throws it right back up to where it's meant to be. Janine, there seems to be this sort of understanding that giraffe are mute, but I've heard them make funny little snorts, and I've heard them definitely bellow when they get killed or attacked. They make a horrible bellow noise, almost sounds like a cow, a buffalo being killed. So, but they don't make any alarm call sounds that I've ever really noticed. Nothing too much. Apparently they are mute, but not mute. Octogoli, interesting question. I don't know how many muscles are in the neck. I think it's maybe 2 or 3 really long big ones that stretch the entire length of the neck, almost like you could think our quads on our legs. And it's enormous muscle stretching all the way along underneath the neck to pull it down, and then all the way along the back there's one ligament, an enormous ligament that runs all the way down the back onto the shoulder, and so with those two regulates their neck going up and down. But I couldn't tell you exactly how many muscles. I think it may be just really big ones, maybe a couple of really big muscles. He's chosen a beautiful sickle bush, as we know, is the HZ medicinal plant in the African wilderness. Chris, you'd like to know what giraffe poop looks like? Well, I'll find you some, but it's basically just pellets. It looks like any sort of antelope pellet, it's just a lot bigger. I'll make an effort to try and show you on drive, because I know that Chris, I think it's Chris, he likes to take photos of me playing with poop. So we'll make an effort today, Chris, to show you. I think he made a statement that he vowed to take a photo of every time I played with poop. And then I said, well, I won't disappoint you. I will find you some. Don't want to disturb this guy, obviously. So while we try and get around this very tall obstacle, let's go back to the bushwalk team, who is just strolling around.
Well, we are moving. Now, I just heard over the radio that it sounds like those 3 Avoca boys are in Chitwa. So if Rolf and Steve want to go to the dam, I think they're right there. So, as I said, I thought they were south. Fortunately for us, they're southeast rather than south or southwest, because, of course, we can go on to Chitwa. But, so just if you can pass that message on if they haven't heard already. As I said, I thought they sounded like they were off Djuma. And we're hoping to find any sign of Shidulu or Hukumuri. Hukumuri has been on a kill, but it should be finished by now. So he might be up and about and on patrol. Testicular? I think they're alarming at us. Now it always pays to stop and double check and listen carefully to all the little sounds out here, because they can often lead you to something spectacular. Now, Rex and I were just chatting. We look at the weather. A good day for wild dogs. So let's hope they decide to find us on bushwalk. Wild dogs on foot are very, very special. Sometimes if you lie down, they'll come right up to you and smell you and see what you are. It's very curious. But the dogs have been evading me this whole cycle. I haven't seen dogs once. Oh, dearie me. But hopefully before head off, they will make an appearance. But so far it's been quite a quiet night. If we look at tracks, there's almost no tracks of little nocturnal creatures, and probably because of the wind last night. Wouldn't have felt as safe. The hearing's been compromised, so they've been less active than what we would have seen after a very cool night. We probably would have seen Jenna tracks, civet tracks, lots of different tracks. But so far, there's almost no tracks, apart from Rexon's tracks striding up ahead of us. But, as I say, the light this morning is not great for tracking. But on foot, we're much more likely to spot a track than from the vehicle. So we're much closer to the ground, we're not moving as quickly. But I don't know, I'm still feeling lucky this morning. But then I feel lucky every morning. Okay, well, hopefully Thandi and Tlalamba weren't little piggies and ate their whole steenbok in one night. So let's go see if Rolf's got to where they were yet.
Well, everyone, Davy, who is on the camera with me, he knows exactly where Thandi was yesterday, and that's a big part of that sentence, was. It's not sure she's going to be there. We hope so, with that kill having been hoisted up into the tree. So we will go to that exact spot, and well, if she's not there, we can always have a look at the tracks, see where they've gone, and check which block, and try and catch up with them again. It's always nice to try and track the animals too, but also nice just to be able to head straight to a location where we know that she's made a kill and she's got some food there. So we'll be heading straight towards that. And we've been hearing a few franklins and spurfowl giving a bit of noise and alarm calling, and but they can be distracting sometimes and they can put you off. We drove around in circles a little bit there at Twin Dams, because there were spurfowl, like a bit like a chicken when a dog's next to the what do you call, we say the hok in Afrikaans, the chicken coop, and they sort of they're making a noise like that. That's what the franklin were doing. So, oopsie, here we go. Then Davy just giving me the direction. I don't think we're too far. This must be the sighting 2-track. So they were doing that, but we drove around them, and I don't know if they were just doing it towards each other because it's nice, fresh, early morning, and maybe they're just having a little bit of squabbles between the birds themselves. But you can never be sure, so you always need to go and check up on bird alarm calls. But when they wake up or just before they're going to sleep, they can also just be doing silly calls as well. So I'm just going in slowly here. I remember Brent saying it was on a weeping wattle. I'm looking out, there's a big weeping wattle there. having a look here in front. Is she in the tree? Yeah, she's in the tree. Yay! I'm going to go around this way, everyone. Let's see if we can. So Tandi's in the tree there, nice and relaxed. Just try to keep her in that exact relaxed state. Let's just get a nice view in here. I'm going to just go back a bit and just put my nose straight in there, just so that we can get a nice picture on here, everyone. If I go around too much, yeah. In fact, Davy, do you want me to go all the way around? Just over here is fine. Okay. Let's just start here, everyone, just to let her also just relax with our presence a little bit. And so that is Tandi now up in the tree. Looking over her shoulder, I wonder what she's looking at. No sign of the cub just yet, but we've only just got here, so it might be in one of these adjacent trees, or lying on the ground, who knows. Maverick, thanks for your greeting. Yes, good morning, Thandi, indeed. I'll just keep my voice nice and low. I don't want to startle her in any way. Maverick, thanks for sending your greetings through all the way to Africa. Not sure where you are, but well, what a wonderful way to start the day. And coming and sitting with a leopard. And there's still quite a bit of meat on that little steenbok there, looks like. And the legs, I've got all the meat on them. It looks like it's lovely to see the little steenbok tracks that will be presented from those little hooves. But it looks like they've done typically what leopard do. They sort of disembowel it, get to all the rich stuff, the liver and the kidney and the heart, and that's eaten first. Make sure that you get the prize organs and then move on to the meat of flesh itself. Now, 13 Rainbow, I wasn't present. Obviously Brent was the one that watched the kill itself, but you say that she worked really hard for this kill. Well, yeah, and like I was chatting about yesterday afternoon, it's always a gamble. You've got to be putting in the right amount of energy, because you want to get more energy out than what you expend. So it's very important for them to make sure that they don't expend more energy than what they're going to get back from it. It looks like she's dozing off, that she's almost falling off on the left-hand side of that branch there. Was he? Yeah, it doesn't look like ultimately comfortable, does it? It looks like she's got a bit of a swing type seat, and then the branch coming out underneath her chest. Well, yeah, she doesn't seem ultimately comfortable. Just so you know, we are the first ones here this morning, but no doubt there are going to be some vehicles pulling in as well, and I think that's what she's now looking over her shoulder. She can hear some other vehicles approaching, because obviously this is now going to be a very high profile sighting, and we'll obviously just try and stay in here as long as we can, but we also need to respect the other game viewers and give them a chance as well. I wonder where the little cubby is. KB, you're wondering about the cub and if it's been seen eating in a tree before. I don't believe it has. I think yesterday was one of the first times that it has been up a tree, and Davy's nodding in agreement. So I think that's exactly true, that yesterday was the first time we've actually seen it properly climb up a tree and start to feed on it. out of a tree like that. So maybe this is the first learning curve that Tandi has been showing towards the cub. Show it how to hoist something up a tree and stash it, cache it, and then you can come back later. So maybe this is all part of that training that she's giving her little cub. Morning, everyone. Morning, morning. Scent mark, there can be the odd occasion, but cats are so especially leopard, they're so adept at climbing up in trees, and even you see when she's dozing off and she leans to the side, she always corrects herself. And so I've never seen a leopard fall out of a tree. I've seen lions fall out of trees, but leopards, they climb out of trees, and that's all that I've seen. I've never seen a falling leopard. Lions can climb up trees, but getting down is the problem. Whereas leopard, it's almost like they're built for this. It's been evolved over many years, and obviously just to get that food up a tree, they've isolated themselves that the other predators then can't come and steal that meat of theirs. All right, everyone. I hope that we'll be able to find the little cub around. We're going to sit here and wait and see what happens. But let's head on over to Steve and see what his plan is. I think he might be going to Chitwa.
Yes, well done, Ralph, on finding Tandi. Really, really awesome that you're getting to see her. And with the cub as well. I'm not sure if that's Ralph's first time, but it's definitely very exciting seeing Tlalamba. I still have not seen her this time around, folks. So maybe it's my chance this afternoon. But what we do have, and it's decided to stand behind the only bush in the open clearing, is a female kudu. So I'm going to move forward a couple of... she's going to come into shot now. There she comes. There she comes. She's very alert. You can see how she's walking, with her ears out. She's on her own, so that leads her to be a little bit more cautious. There is an impala moving in the bushes in front of us, and that's maybe what's caught her attention. But it pays to be cautious. It pays to listen as you go. The wind is coming towards her, so she should be able to smell whatever's in front. And she's looking right at that impala. And you can see how, even if it was a predator, she's still kind of moving and inching closer and closer until she'll finally realize what it is. We did originally see a male was busy following her. That's what we first saw. He's slowly going to come out of the bushes. I can see him now. We might give him another minute. Kudus, like the Nyala, don't have a breeding season. There would definitely be a peak in the summer months, but they don't have a breeding season per se. It obviously benefits the female to be giving birth when there's very good vegetation around. Here comes the male wilde. He's about to make a cameo appearance. There we go. How beautiful is that? Punk. You want to know why they're called kudu? Well, the one story goes, there's two stories. The one story goes that when they run on the ground, basically, I think it might come from the Khoi or a sort of the San Bushman people. When the kudu runs, their hooves go kudu, 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 kudu on the ground. So we think it's possibly an onomatopoeia, but then I'm not 100% sure. That is the one story that goes. And the other story is when the kudu runs, its genitals hit the inside of his legs and also make the same noise, kudu, kudu. I think the first one is probably more accurate than the second one. He's munching on some forbs. What a marvelous creature. 1, 2. He's on the third spiral. So you would probably assume he's over 4 or 5 years old. Magnificent creature. I know that Dr. Owen has given us some really nice identifications for the ages. How beautiful is that? You can see he's a browser. Jedi James, you want to know what the bump on the back is? Well, the bump is a little bit of muscle, first of all, to enable him to keep that very big neck and horns up. And the fur on the bump actually helps to break out the three-dimensional characteristics. So if it was just a smooth line on the fur there, it would actually stand out quite easily. Like when you look at a horse from a profile, they stand out easily. But that little mane underneath the chin there, you can see, is also got on the back of the neck, all the way down the spine, and also on the throat. Look at that. That all breaks up that sort of very easily identified sort of kudu shape. So with those lines on the back, the fur, it loses itself in the vegetation. When a kudu is standing in dense bush, you actually can't see it if it doesn't move. Often all you see is a horn, or when it does move, then you're like, wow, where did that guy suddenly materialize from? So he's also spotted the impala. He's having a little bit of a munch. The impala is just ahead of us here, doing the boxing. He's working his horns, thrashing the tree. He's getting ready for the rutting season. Karen, you want to know if these kudu will stay together? Well, it seems as if this male kudu is definitely following her, which means she's probably in estrus, and he doesn't want to miss out on the opportunity to mate when she finally stops moving. He was just having a little bit of a snack on the way there. And we'll look at the size. Look at the size difference between him and that impala. Impala is no comparison for the kudu. He's an enormous animal. And the impala is pretty big himself. I mean, he weighs over 60 kilograms. And there he's busy working that neck, as we've spoken about before, thrashing the branches there. And you can see how unobserving he is. So quite easily he could be stuck upon by an animal like Tandi. But let's go over to Tandi, who's already got a meal.
Yep, and she hasn't moved very much, everybody. And nice to see how her legs are hanging down there with the tail. You can see totally at ease and fast asleep, in fact. So, well, that's a sleeping leopard. Wonderful to see the tail. Look at those feet there as well. Nice to see the track that would be printing in the sand as she walks. That's what we're looking for when we're driving around looking for tracks. And how the whole foot is actually raised with only the fingers making prints. I'll believe, well, there's a lot of chance that another leopard could come into this area. There's probably lots of smell coming off of this dead steenbok, and I think that's probably why Tandi's guarding it and actually sleeping with her face in it. And look at that. She's really not letting this one go. I think she wants the cub probably to feed more off of it, because she could have probably flattened that whole thing on her own. But I have a feeling that this is more so about a few lessons for the cub. She's also gone up this African wattle, and it's quite an easy sort of climb. I think that has been chosen more so for the cub as well. Look at that easy climb up there. She could have gone up a marula with a very thick trunk, and making it very difficult for any other predator to get up there, and easier to defend as well if another leopard comes up. But she's chosen a nice easy route. I'm almost certain this is for the cub. So the cub is able to get up to the kill, and also there is some meat left now for it. So I think this is a little bit of training, a little bit of lessons for the little youngster. I don't know where it is. I think it's probably not quite comfortable sleeping in a tree. So it's probably sleeping in the grass somewhere. Leopard girl, yes, absolutely. Predators can smell that meat. I can actually smell it a little bit as well sometimes when the smell comes in my direction, and my smell's not that good at all. But the other predators, number one being that of the hyena, he's going to pick that smell up very quickly, as well as I wouldn't be surprised if there's not hyena tracks all around here. I haven't really had a look, but there could quite easily have been a hyena walking around this tree all night, and other leopards as well. Yes, definitely. The wind just needs to blow in the right direction, and they'll pick up the smell of that carcass. Especially once they open that stomach up, then you get that it's a very pungent smell, very strong, and so that, yes, definitely other predators, leopard, lion, hyena, all of them would be able to pick that up. And one of the reasons why I should stash it up in a tree like that, or take it up, because hyenas can't get up there. They'll be jumping up and down right below her, but they can't get anywhere near her. They can't climb up a tree. The only two that they need to worry about is other leopards and, of course, lions, because a lion would be able to get up this African wattle, but it wouldn't be able to get all the way to her without her having, fighting back. It's quite a thin branch for them to be able to climb up. But the potential is there that they could get to her, but she's guarding that very well. And it's because of all of these reasons. But she's got a lovely vantage point. She'll be able to see from there if anything else is coming. And she'll have good warning. But I'm sure during the night she was not alone. And maybe why the little cub is nowhere to be seen. Maybe hidden itself in one of these bushes just nearby. And like I was saying just now, probably more comfortable in the grass. Yes, James Richard, thank you. This is a real breakfast in bed. Bed and breakfast. She's putting new meaning to that. With her face right in the kill. Breakfast with a view. Pangolin, not very common. I haven't seen too many animals using a carcass as a pillow. I think it's just convenient in this particular situation. I've seen lions sleeping on, almost inside giraffe and buffalo carcasses, and the youngsters doing that as well, but not very regularly. And I haven't seen leopard doing this kind of thing, but a very small kill for Tandi, and the perfect size for the little cub to be able to come through. And I'm almost 100% sure it's because she's left a lot of meat on this for the cub, and she's just protecting it, overly protective over it, and as a result, probably also because of the predators walking around below this tree during the night, that she's almost saying, mine, not a chance, nobody else is going to get this. Alright, I might change position soon and just get a different view. Hopefully we're going to see the cub, but I'm not going anywhere just yet. This is too exciting. But however, let's head you on over to the bushwalk team. I think Brent's got a hole to show you.
A hole indeed. A hole dug by an ant bear, or aardvark. You can actually see where its tail was sitting here. Not that fresh, probably not from last night, but the night before, would be my guess. Every time I come walk through this area on a morning like this, I'm always very hopeful that we're just going to catch a late aardvark heading back to its bed. There's another big hole where they actually live. This is a feeding hole where they've dug out some termites or ants. Ooh, lions roaring. That's the Avoca boys at Chitwa. And with this wind this morning, it's actually difficult because quite often you'll get the beginning loud, and then it goes, because as the wind changes and swirls, you keep picking up pieces of it. Okay, let's keep moving. Now, I am moving quite fast at the moment because I'm quietly hopeful that there's wild dogs just to the south of Djuma. So we're going to try to get down towards the southern boundary. We're in the west at the moment, but probably about 1 kilometer or 2 from the southern boundary. And fingers crossed the dogs decide to come visit. I really hope so. I really want dogs on foot. Well, if you think about it, KB. What bird was that? Yeah, it's flown off. If you think about it, KB, being killed is a natural cause out in the bush, but very, very seldom will any animal die of old age, for example. before they get to actually dying from old age. In their weakened state, the predators pick them off. You probably find, well, actually, if you think about it, the two times that animals will die from non-predator related deaths, drought. You'll have a lot of deaths during a drought from lack of food rather than lack of water, because there's water around, but the nutrition they're getting from the grass is almost zero. And at this time of the year, when we get our first proper cold snap, that drops below 10 degrees C, zebra, one of the ones that get hit by it the worst, Seb, watch the stump. Zebra, young impala that were born at the beginning of the year, quite often the ones that are a little bit weak, maybe got some intestinal parasites and other parasites, they die during that first cold snap. So it's not unusual to find a couple of dead animals out in the clearing after the first really cold snap of the year. So those are probably the two situations that happen most frequently, with obviously the cold snap being almost every year. You'll lose often young inyala, zebra, even wildebeest, impala. Kudu seem to be pretty immune to it, but those generally will be that first big cold snap. You'll have a few of them die. We haven't had the cold snap yet. It's definitely getting colder every night and into the mornings, but we haven't had that really sort of winter snap that puts those animals under pressure. So anything that's a little bit not so well doesn't make it through that first cold night. Now, someone who's very happy when that happens, because quite often leopards and lions will just find a free impala lying somewhere. So maybe Tandi is looking forward to this year's cold snap.
Oh, thanks, Brent. And I tell you what, everybody, it's quite exciting because we've heard it sounds like the Avoca Males, or through the intelligence that we've received at Chitwa Dam, they've just been calling now. So I think Steve might be on his way there in a bit, and he might catch up with them. But I tell you what, it's quite exciting because they might make their way over here if they get a sniff of this kill up in the tree, and they're opportunists, so they could definitely come this way. However, for the moment, the wind is blowing in the opposite direction. It's blowing from them to us. So in that sense, you might be lucky that they haven't picked up the scent just yet. But it's that time of the morning where the wind can start swirling in a little while. Once it warms up, once the sun gets up a little bit, it could actually change direction, going straight back towards them. So we'll wait and see. It could get quite exciting here. There's still no sign of the little cub. I wonder where it is, but as I still think it's hidden here somewhere in a bush. Corbett, a good question. The protection of the cub if hyenas arrive. Well, you know, cats, the biggest defense I always say of cats getting away from those animals that lurk on the ground is the easiest is just to climb a tree. Now, I hear that the little cub hasn't been climbing too many trees, but I'm sure it's very adept at that. It could put those claws out and up it goes. So either getting up a tree or hiding itself, getting away where it can't be seen in a nice thick brush or bush, or even especially inside something thorny, and just being very still and very quiet. And it would be very skillful at this, because remember, Mommy and Tandi has been leaving the cub for 3-4 days at a time. And in those times, it needs to be very quiet, just staying still inside a thicket, and especially if something comes around. So it won't be the first time that she has come face to face or been in the area or the vicinity of hyena. I'm sure of that. She survived this far. She understands the dangers of other predators, and that would have been down to the skillful sort of allowance from Mom that she experiences these things, but it just tries to point her in the right direction. But it's very interesting how the cubs of most predators instinctively are very very good at just being very still, silent, quiet when any other predators come around, whether it be at the den site or where they've been left by the adults. They just go in there and they know they're alone. They just be quiet, stay still, and you'll be all right. And then you see when mommy or the adults come back, and they do the little contact call and they call the babies out, and then you can see how excited they get because they've obviously spent a lot of time inactive, just holding up and evading the other predators, waiting for the return. And the return is then greeted with boundful energy and jumping around and really enjoying themselves and happy that they're now allowed out of their prison that is keeping themselves safe from predators. Beautiful to see the rosettes and some of the spots on the back end and down the tail. And very relaxed leopard she is indeed. But if those lions come closer, she won't be so relaxed. Anna Marie, the potential is there that she could have this kill stolen by lions. As I say, it is a rather thin trunk or branch that's going out that she's lying on. So maybe that's what she's banking on, that these lions would find that quite difficult. But a female lion or a sub-adult or even these males could have a go. But I almost think that they could get up there to that steenbok and then literally fall out of the tree from there. She's not extremely high either, so I think she's out of reach from the ground, but she's not high. It's high enough that that a lion could get up and literally fall out from there without injuring itself too much. So all the possibilities are there, and that's why I think she's still guarding that very well, because but I think still fascinating that she's really giving the cub a chance to be able to get up to that easy road up in a wattle, because the best would be to get up a marula, where you've got a very long trunk before you have any branches, and almost impossible for a lion to get up. They would really struggle. So she has made it easier for the other predators, but it's because of the teachings that I think she's making available for the little cubby, for Tlalamba. Okay, so not far from here is Chitwa and those Avoca male lions, and Steve's on his way there. Let's see how he's getting on.
Well, thanks, Ralph. We are just basically making our way there slowly. We don't want to overdo it with regards to the roads, because you never know, there might be tracks along the way. And I'm not one for running from one sighting to another. Always along the way you need to be checking, because there could be something that's being overlooked. Because you do get Ferrari safaris out there where there's the lovely impala male. We're not going to get him on camera, I don't think. Let's listen to him though. Here we go. Well, tonight is the first full moon, and then between this full moon and the next full moon, the impalas are going to be going absolutely crazy, and that gurgling, roaring sound that you're hearing from the impala is actually designed to induce the ovulation in the females. So all the females now are going to be in ovulation for this 29-day sort of calendar or lunar month between one full moon and the next. And the impala males, there's going to be sounds. They're going to go all night long, all day. They're going to lose condition. They're going to forget about eating. They're going to chase each other. All sorts of things are going to be going on with the impala. It is a really funny time of year, and I always love the look on people's faces when they hear that for the first time. Especially if you get off and have a quiet coffee and they hear that noise, they're like, what is that? It's coming to eat me. I've been there before. Sorry, Chris, I didn't get the last bit of that. Jedi James, your kids are having a safari sleepover, well, safari live sleepover. How fantastic. Well, no doubt there's going to have to be fire and marshmallows, yes? Or do you make s'mores wherever you are? I'm not sure. I mean, you're obviously going to have to watch some documentaries on animals. I don't know. I don't know what to suggest. Sleeping under the stars. It's going to be a full moon wherever you are in the world. So being outside is going to be marvelous. Definitely. If it's not too cold, obviously. But, sure, that's a very good question. Suggestions. Suggestions in the way of what, Jedi James? The way of things to watch or to do? I'm not sure. I love being outside. I love looking at the stars, but on a full moon night, stars are very hard to come by. Play some animal calls in the background. So we are slowly making our way to Chitwa. Yeah, okay, Lou in FC suggesting you should put the damn cam on, turn up the volume. You never know what you might hear. I believe people were hearing lions calling last night. We're just going to pass a very old looking vehicle. There's a very old one. Hey, Voldy? Okay, well, in the meantime, let's go over to Brent while he's walking.
Well, unfortunately, we found absolutely zero tracks, and with this cool weather, we've probably already done 3 or 4 kilometers. We've done all the way from Vuyatela access. We're nearly at the southern boundary, but unfortunately, absolutely no sign. The only thing we've been hearing is those Avocas calling, but we've made our way to a little seep line clearing at the moment, and there's always lots of wonderful little stuff around here. Now, Sebastian, as a good Frenchman, will love this. Oh. So it's oh la la. I'm not a big fan. I don't like licorice. So it's wild aniseed. Now you can use this to cook. It goes quite well with pork, I'm told. And if you crust the pork crackling with the licorice aniseed. But yes, I know some people who cook with it. I myself am not a big licorice or aniseed fan, and so I don't cook with it. I use the wild basil. But very, very strong licorice smell. When you give it to most university students, they of course don't think of licorice or cooking. They think of that terrible drink that smells like licorice. Woof. Now, another little thing we have growing here on the disturbed soil is a little yellow justicia. Beautiful little flower. Now, they normally only grow on disturbed soil, so where there's a bit of lack of grass, and you get these disturbed soils around the quarry thickets where you've got more water runoff. So you can see underneath this little bit of sand. You get a good Seb? You go down and you're already on dark colored clay. So what happens here, the reason this is quite a disturbed area, is the water will just flow over here. It doesn't actually sink in or seep. So that's why you get these plants like aniseed and justicia growing on these disturbed soils and very shallow sandy soils with a very, very high, not even a centimeter or two down to the clay base. Now, last we heard, the wild dogs were just over there. So we're hoping that they do come this way. We're going to head across to one of my favorite trees on the whole of Djuma, and it's just here. It is a beautiful big Bikimia discala, or a brown ivory tree, the Nkohoma tree. And on my interview drive, the first live drive I ever took, I saw wild dogs under this very Nkahuma tree on a morning very similar to this, windy and cold and overcast. Now, there's been quite a lot of activity. The warthogs have been under here a lot, and it has almost finished fruiting, and there's just pips everywhere at the moment, from birds, from warthogs. I've seen impala and kudu eating under here, and normally there's quite a bit of grass, but during its fruiting season, you can just see the ground around here has been very busy with all sorts of different animals. So, the beautiful brown ivory tree. Oh, look, is that a baby brown ivory growing in the big brown ivory? It is too. So here's a baby brown ivory tree. Obviously a bird has defecated into the fork of the tree there, and with wind and whatnot you get soil build-up and whatnot. So there's a baby brown ivory growing in the middle of the big brown ivory. Isn't that cool? Oh, yes, hello, good morning. Noisy, noisy. Now, we've got something that's yellow and spotted, but it's not quite as yellow and spotted as what Rolf's got. So we'll send you... Do you see him there? Come this way, sir.
No, I can't see it.
Okay. Right on the top right. Oh, no, Rexon's saying come. Rexon's saying come. So I need to catch up with Rex. He's quite far ahead. He's seen something. In the meantime, we're going to send you across to the yellow and spotted Tandi.
Thanks, Brent. And, well, everyone, we're just going to be slowly moving our way around Tandi. We are going to change position slightly so that we get different views, different perspectives on this beautiful cat. So this is one here through the bushes. But the reason I'm not going to be going anywhere because the sun is starting to get a little bit up, and there's every potential that she could start to wake up a little bit. Maybe start to have a bit of a feed. Maybe the little cub comes and shows itself and joins her up the tree, maybe eating a little bit of the meat as well. Carol, that is quite possible that the cub now is just laying low until Mommy gives it the go-ahead to come and join her. So that might be the case, and that's well imprinted now into that little cubby, that once it is time to go and be quiet, it stays like that until Mommy gives the little contact call, the little arr, arr, a little small little growl. It's not a growl, it's just a little, it's difficult to explain, but she just does a arr, arr. And out the little Tlalamba will bound and run up the tree here, I'm sure. It'd be interesting if only we could know what has happened during the night. I'm sure there's been the sinister hyenas walking around, and that's most likely why this little cub is nowhere to be found. But Tandi does look very relaxed, however, still guarding that steenbok carcass very tightly. Minamu, the pads don't generally wear out on a leopard. They are quite rough and they're quite thick as well. I have seen them with sort of a little bit of bleeding around on their pads when they have been excessively running over rocks and possibly even chasing prey, etc. But they never wear out completely. That regenerates. It's a little bit like the heel of your foot. So you can get quite thick skin on the heel of your foot, but it will never wear out. It can come and go. So I'm going to reposition, get a little bit on her face, and while I do that, let's head you on over to Brent. Very exciting. He's got some big animals on foot.
Well, now I know what Rexon was calling me for. There's a little herd of elephants that have just popped in. You can see currently that one is unaware that we're sitting probably 50 or 60 meters from them. It's a teenager munching along. The rest of the herd's moved off. And we've got to be very careful with elephants in this weather. It's windy weather with swirling winds. They can be sometimes a little bit, not angry, but they're a little bit nervous of it because the smells come and go so quickly. And they rely so much on their sense of smell. So we're going to let them sneak off. But I think we can still watch them for a little bit. How's your view, Seb? Do you need to move? Good. We're still good where we are. Bless you, Rexon. Rexon's got the sneezes. And so the rest of the herd have gone through into those thickets there. Actually, just behind the big brown ivory tree we were looking at. But we've still got maybe one or two stragglers out here. Stazzy, indeed, they are quite close to us. It is a wonderful feeling being this close to an elephant on foot, and especially a breeding herd. Now, it's not that difficult to get really close to big early bulls on foot, but with breeding herds, it is more difficult, and you have to be more careful because they can be more temperamental. And especially when there's young babies around, and there were a few that moved off into the thickets. And so we're always very cautious. We check the wind, we look for the high ground or termite mound or tree to view them from behind. Normally, if they did become aware of us, they would move off, but sometimes they might come closer to investigate, especially on a day like today with this swirling wind. So we always want to make sure we're in a good, safe position when viewing breeding herds of elephant on foot. And at Seb's lost visual, what we can do is scoot up the road a little bit to our left, and there we go. Seb, are you getting a visual there? Not yet. We have got an elephant's tail. Now, a lot of people think elephants have quite bad vision, Bill. I don't believe that elephants have bad vision. I think they've got pretty good vision. It's just the fact that their hearing is so good and their smell so good that they use those senses along with their sight. I thoroughly believe an elephant can see you at 50, 60 meters. It's an old sort of misnomer that an elephant has bad vision. I think they've got perfectly good vision. Unlike something like a rhino who does actually have quite bad vision. And over the years I've tested different things and theories while following these animals on foot, and an elephant definitely doesn't have bad vision. I've been spotted at over 100 meters before by an elephant while I was walking across a clearing. So by no means do they have bad vision. So, a very interesting question from Saskia. Saskia is saying, how should we react if they came over to investigate? Well, firstly, we would try move away and put some distance between us. But if that's not possible, you let the elephant see you. I would probably walk towards it and lift my stick, make myself look very big, and maybe have a few sharp words. So it all depends on the situation, and normally that's enough to stop an elephant and get them to turn around and move off. Sort of, hey, you get big like this, and worst comes to worst, you might want to throw your hat or something like that. But generally we don't want to get into that situation, so we always try and make sure we are safe and in a safe distance, because it's also stressful for the animals when it comes into that situation, not only us, and we definitely don't want to stress out the animals. There we go, we're going to go see if we can get another look. This is a nice relaxed herd, the wind is perfectly in our favour. There we go, there's a sneak of the Ellie's head. Hello. He's got a nice branch playing with there. Okay, the Eddies are going to keep moving into the thickets. We're going to send you across to Ralph with Tandi, who's still catnapping.
Yeah, and I think, it's very descriptive, catnapping. I think there's not many animals that can sleep as well as cats can. I think they are the epitome of the perfect sleepers. And it's very interesting. But I just wanted to give you a little bit of some information on Tandi herself and her lineage and her family tree. Tandi, she was born in December of 2006. So she's about 12 years old. Her spot pattern is she's got 3 on either side of her nose. And we can see the top line there just above the whiskers. It's 1 dot and then 2 big dots quite close to each other. And we can only see this left side of her face, but the other side is 3 as well, 3 dots now that she's fallen into her slumber there a little bit lower. She is the daughter of Kruger, and potentially the father being Fufunyan or Jordan. So one of the 2 males that was her father. Is probably not sure which of the 2 was her father, but definitely Kruger, who has passed on, was her mother. And then she's got a couple of siblings, of which Hosanna is one of them, Shongile. And then there's also Kunyuma, Quarantine, as well as Shadow. So she's got a few siblings there. And she has sired, she has given birth to 3 cubs, which she has been able to bring through, which is Kuchava, Tamba, and now Tlalamba. So she gave birth, this is her 3rd set, or 3rd time that she's given birth now with Tlalamba, last year in November. And Tamba was born in 2016, and that was with Tingana. And Kuchava was born in 2014, and the father was Mvula. So there's just a little bit of a background in terms of the family tree and some of her siblings, etc. Now, she's still not very comfortable on that branch. It doesn't look very comfortable. So I think she keeps shifting around, trying to get a better position. But I'm still waiting to see if she has a bit of a feed or she calls the cub in. That's it. Oh, there's a stretch. She hasn't been able to stretch properly because it hasn't been very comfortable. That's what we've been waiting for. Listen. She's giving a call. That's for the little cub. I think it's time the cub is going to come. Where are you, Tlalamba? She gave one little contact call there. I think she's looking for Tlalamba. Definitely. I think that was Darby's stomach, if you heard that. That wasn't her contact calling. He's waiting for breakfast. As are we waiting for Tandi and Tlalamba to have breakfast. We're all getting hungry here next to this carcass. Hey, she's calling again. Sharon, yes, the little Tlalamba will recognize that it's Tandi calling her with that little contact call. She's been doing it a couple of more times now when we were just waiting there. Very, very soft call. And obviously because she doesn't want to give away the presence of a little cub to other predators as well. So that little contact call is very soft. Normally when they're very close to the area where the cub is. There we go. that was enough times for the little cub to possibly have heard her. Very exciting. I'm sure we're going to see this little cub pop out any minute now. Shame. Tandi looks quite tired, but she's sitting up because she's not in a very comfortable position there. There's someone calling. Just little, oh. You can actually see from the way she's breathing when she does do her little call. As she also is falling asleep. It's probably been quite a busy night, I think. Animals walking around here, hyenas and maybe other leopards. There we go. She keeps looking this way. I wonder if the cub's on the side by us. Looks like a little bit more comfortable there. Don't know how long that's going to last though. Still calling the cub. And listening behind her too. I'm sure something's happened here during the evening. That's why this cub has gone and hidden itself and she doesn't quite know where it is. That's to be expected when you're next to a kill. Siddhar, I'm glad that you've been able to experience that with us this morning, saying that you haven't experienced it before. Well, it is one of those special moments, and now we just wait for the cub to show itself. She started to call a little bit louder, almost just trying to make the little cub know. Maybe the cub is also very tired. Maybe it's been quite nervous with some of the night's goings on. So maybe he hasn't picked up Mummy's call just yet. But it's surprising because really you can... There she goes again. Beautiful. But you can also look at the mood of her with those ears down like that. She's not obviously ultimately relaxed. Listening behind her, looking in front. I think she wants her cub to come now. Wake up, Tlalamba. Come on, show yourself. Now, Cat, I think it's better for her up in the tree there where she's calling. Her voice is going to carry further. So she could go down the tree and call as well. But I think from where she's sitting, she's probably going to throw her voice a little bit better from up there. And as I say, still concerned, I think, with that stashed kill that she's got. It's amazing. I mean, we think as humans, oh, well, let's just leave that and come down, get your cub, and you can go back up. But you know how quickly things can change. It could be a predator just waiting for her to come down and maybe get attacked or anything. You know, you never know what's going to happen out here. So she's gotten this far by doing what she does. I think I'll trust her methods. Muldoon, I think it's a little bit far for the lions to hear her calling for a cub, as she's doing again now. And that's also one of the reasons why it's just a very low, quiet little contact call that she does, because she doesn't want that sound to carry too far. She just wants it to carry in a general vicinity that we're in at the moment. That's why sometimes it can take a little... Oh, here we go, just in front. The little cub just making its way through the grass. There he is. There he is. She is, sorry. There she is. Very quietly, sheepishly making herself through the grass. I can hear Tandi also doing a little bit of... It's like... Between... Ooh. Actually, sorry, I thought it was Tandi, but in fact, it's Steve with the lions, and they're roaring. Off to him.
They've just stopped roaring. I'm sure they will do it again shortly. We are with the 3 Avoca Males, just below Chitwa Dam, and it's amazing how that can invoke fear. I don't know if you can hear, but one of the vehicles quite close to us, the guests all laughing in a little bit of a sort of a nervous laugh. It's probably the first time they've heard or seen large lions like this, and the first time can always be quite something. And the 3 of them, the first one started calling and the other 2 jumped on the bandwagon, and that would indicate that the 3 individuals' strength. Well, it seems like Tandi and her cub are about to reunite. Let's go there.
So, well, we're just waiting. Look how she's relaxed. She's obviously, okay, there you are. But the way that this little cub is going so quietly, so slowly, so almost sheepishly through the grass here, it's leading me to believe even more so now that there was trouble during the night. That there were other predators around, because it's really not ready to show itself, but it's making its way through the grass there. And Mommy's looking down at it now. If you can't see it, that's how good the camouflage is. We're just waiting to see if it starts to climb up the tree, and always good once they've been separated like that. You're always going to see a bit of a greeting ceremony once they are reunited in close contact. She does look like she's a little bit happier now. Still listening out, but I don't know. I think that facial expression is softened a bit. If you can say a leopard's facial expression softens in any way whatsoever. She is a beautiful cat. Toby, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Tlalamba, very, very smart to be cautious like this. And that's why she survived up until this point, and that'll hold her in good stead going forward as well. Now, I'm not going to be starting the vehicle or moving or making any noise here, because we don't want to startle this little cub. It's obviously trying to keep itself nicely hidden as it makes its way up towards Mummy. But I think we've got a good view from here anyway, with Tandi looking almost straight at us. And there she obviously needs to catch up on a bit of downtime. There we are. That looks a bit more comfortable than you were earlier. Slightly. Where is little Tlalamba? Still making her way through the grass. Well, that's why we're here in the Sabi Sands, I believe, because of these particular cats It's wonderful to spend so much time with him. Okay, so let's wait and see what happens with this little cub eventually getting through the grass. While we wait, off to Steve and the lions.
Yes, well, we are still with these boys, and they are more impressive than they were yesterday. And it was very interesting how the one furthest from us started calling, and then the other two joined him. Hey, he's getting up. There's a stretch. Oh, I wouldn't be surprised if they start moving. The wind direction is coming directly into their face there. I can hear some impalas sort of doing their snorting off in the distance. And I'm sure these boys are probably quite hungry. They don't look like they've eaten anything. But this lion closest to us is enormous. Not fully developed manes yet, so I'm not sure exactly how old they are. I'm guessing they're between 3.5 and 4.5, somewhere between there. But they are really very, very big boys. Mr. T, these lions come from the Timbavati, which is a private reserve north of the Manuleti, so north of here, and they were found on an area called Avoca. And there's one of the private farms there, just like Djuma is a private farm or property here. So that is where their name comes from. And I believe Avoca actually means avocado. So who was making the joke the other day that we should call him Chip, Dip and Guacamole? It's a beautiful name for beautiful pride or coalition of males. Kirsten loves those names. But they are new to the area, just like Hukumuri is new for the Tandi and the saga of Tlalamba. Let's quickly go back there.
Well, look at this, everyone. The little Tlalamba has now made it to the base of the tree, and I think it's planning its attack as to how to get up it. Not quite as comfortable, I think, as Mom climbing up the tree. Still got lots to learn. And, well, that's obviously what Mommy's trying to do here. Come on, then. Up you come. If you want some food, if you want me, you better come up. He needs to learn the ropes, learn how to use those claws, get the climbing skills going. But very good in the way it's hiding itself and keeping a low profile. Well done, little girl. Oh, decided she's not going to climb up. Just going to go underneath Mom and hope for a couple of scraps. There we go, there's a return call. See that? Oh, she's all playful, you see there? She's really spotted Mom nicely now. She says, oh, there you are. Let me come. Oh, there she goes. I think she's calmed down now that she's able to show herself. Mommy says it's fine. There we go, making space for the little one. Aha. Ooh. Oh. At least they managed to not fall out the tree. Come on down for breakfast. The little one looks a bit stuck there. Maybe he doesn't want to climb down now. That was funny. I think she's excuse me, I think she's brought that down now for breakfast so that she can eat it nicely on the ground. This is very nice to watch. Come on, little one. Off you go get some breakfast. calling going on. Oh, Jojo, yes, I also did think that especially the little one might fall out the tree. And it's quite funny now. It's almost like she's not allowing Tlalamba to go and have a feed. What's going on, Tandi? What lessons are you teaching the little one now? Definitely something didn't sit right with her there. Maybe she wants to eat first, which is understandable. Wait your turn, little one. Yep, Mommy's now having a bite herself. And while that is instinctive behavior of leopards is still true, I mean, they will allow the cub to feed, but if she's busy feeding, sometimes it can be a little bit of back off, wait for me to finish, and then you can have some yourself. So it doesn't make her any less of a mother. She's teaching valuable lessons right throughout. And going and trying to eat with another leopard is not a good idea, so maybe it's one of those. It's getting stuck in there now. Claire, yes, absolutely. There's lots of lessons being taught and learnt here. Little cub must do as it's told and come when it's called. Maybe it took too long. Maybe Mom was calling it and it wasn't responding, and now she's just putting it in its place a little bit. But that's the ways of the wild. It's not, we're trying to work it all out here, but there are small little lessons in everything in their life, and she is a fascinating mom, a wonderful cat to watch, and I'm sure she's going to bring this little cub up to adulthood. Let's hope so. And these lessons are the ones that she needs to learn, and learn good, because they're going to help her survive. Something not sitting that well while she's feeding there. So the little cub just watching on a few meters away after that scolding that she got, and she tried to immediately go in for the food. I think that was maybe a little bit too quick for her just to go in and say, I'm going to eat. Okay, I think I might reposition a little bit, just get at a slightly better view without disturbing them, obviously. While I do that, let's head you on over to Steve with those other cats.
Hi, my name's Steve. No, I'm joking, of course, it's not, it's Brent. And we're having a not such a fruitful walk this morning in terms of big cat tracks, but fortunately Steve, the other Steve, is with the male lions, and Rolf is, of course, with Thandi and Tlalamba. Now, we have been hoping that Hukumuri has moved in, but we haven't found any tracks. It was nice to have those Ellies, but we are still hoping that those wild dogs are coming back. So we're walking parallel to the southern boundary, and we can hear the cars boom, 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 chasing the wild dogs. And of course, one impala coming this way could bring them this direction. So we're almost at Treehouse Dam, and it is a lovely morning to walk. It is nice and cool, and that's why I say we've covered it. Well, by the end, we'll probably nearly covered half of Djuma by the time we get back to camp. And, looks like Rex has spotted something. Wild dog calling. See, wandering around on the southern boundary was not a bad idea. So what Rex would have heard, and we're trying to listen for now, is the contact call of a wild dog. And they use it quite often because when they're hunting, they bombshell and chase things in all sorts of different directions. So what it's called is a woo call. Not a woo girl. Woo girls, they at spring break, we're looking for woo calls. So it's normally something like this. Ooh, 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 and it's trying to find the other members of the pack. And like hyenas, they'll put their head onto the ground and call ooh, ooh, to reverberate and get that sound to travel longer. Now sometimes they do struggle to find each other when the wind's strong like it is today. So there we go, you can see it comes in these big gusts. Where do you think? Philemon's? Close.
Down on that pen there.
That pan there. Now, we've got some decisions to make because wild dogs move so fast that you've just got to be really lucky on foot in the right place at the right time. Where do you think, Rex? Because if the others are down there, he might be coming this way. So I think maybe we wait. We're going to go down towards Treehouse Dam and then sit there and hopefully the pack comes together. Or I can practice my woo calling and see if I can call the wild dog to me. I've tried many times over the years. It doesn't work, I'm afraid. Okay, let's send you back to Steve, who's on a new mission.
Yes, well, the lions being found on Chitwa this morning has led to an enormous concentration of game vehicles wanting to see them. So we have moved out of the lineup just to allow other people to have a view, because we know that they only will look for about 5 to 10 minutes and then they'll move off. So we've decided to move out of the sighting, and they did get up and start walking anyway in this general direction. So we are here viewing a wildebeest and a couple waterbuck, and maybe the lions will come join us, and then there's nothing really we can do about it, is there? They might just materialize here. And that would be quite funny. Okay, well, Brent reckons he's got some wild dog calling around there, so I don't know what he's heard, but maybe we should just go jump on back that side. I know we'd love to find wild dogs. It's been some time since I've seen them. They could be very exciting, but if they are south of the boundary, it will be difficult to see. But anyway, we're waiting around to hear about these lions, so while we do that, let's go and see what Brent Leo Smith has in fact heard. And in the meantime, let's go back over to Ralph and Tlalamba.
Well, everyone, we're watching now. Tandi still, she's now getting stuck in with that Steenbok. She's having a good feed, lots of breaking of bones. If we listen out, we might just hear it. Crunching bones. There we go. That's amazing how they can crush those bones. She's now deep in the grass there, so not easy for us to get a good view. The little cub still just sitting a meter or two away. Tandi keeps looking towards the cub. The cub's just in there somewhere, just a meter or two off. Difficult to see now that they're in the long grass. In there somewhere. Amazing, the camouflage. So I think today's the day she needs to finish this Steenbok, otherwise it's going to be getting got by other predators. There we are. Once she's had her full, she'll let the cub come and have a bite. There, she's biting down again. I was surprised at how little they'd actually fed on this Steenbok yesterday. Now they're going to have more of a feed today, I think. crunching. Using all of those canines and the incisors and then the molars at the back, everything to cut and slice the meat and so to grind it and grind some of the bones. And their stomach digestion is not as acidic as that of hyenas. So you very often find in their scat, the first scat that they have, because there's so much blood and they normally eat in the organs and so on, very black, very sloppy. And then after that, where they're feeding now, you're going to start to have second, third scat is when you start to have, it's a little bit more solid because they're eating more flesh. And then later you have even bone fragments, claws, all sorts coming through there. Now she's sitting up. Chris, Tlalamba at her age right now, she could probably eat, in excess of 1 kilogram, even maybe 2 kilograms. But I wouldn't say too much more than that at her age. But that's a healthy meal. I mean, if you think, if I go to a restaurant and I have a 500 gram steak, I know I do have some sides with it, but that is a lot of meat for me. And, I'm sort of 80 kilograms, 6'3", and for a little cub like that, probably 1 kilogram is a lot of meat as well. So it would be quite gorged, and it would be able to survive on that for a good few days. So there's a difference there. I'll have my steak this evening, and I'll have breakfast tomorrow morning. So I think the metabolism or the way we use the energy differs. And they are able to extract, I think, more energy out of the pure meat protein than we are. Evangeline, the scar-faced lion, I think you might be talking about the Birmingham boys. Either that, or because I know the scar-faced lion in the Masai Mara, but I think you might be referring to one of the Birmingham boys, because I don't know of a scar-faced lion here, but there's some lions with lots of scars on them. However, some of the male lions could come into the area, and if they spot these leopards, they'll really try to kill them. Yes, but that's why little cub was very careful when she came here, because she was hiding and she was waiting for mommy to call her, and she's hiding away from things like hyena and lion and other leopards. And at the moment, the best way for her not to get eaten or killed by lions is to climb up a tree or hide in a thick bush. So that's what she'll do, and when she does that, she'll go in there and she'll be absolutely quiet, and the lions will then normally not be able to find her, and which will be her best tactic to stay alive. So she's made it this far, and once they're at this age that the little cub is now, she's got a very good chance of actually surviving to be an adult and having cubs of her own. So Tandi, the mom, has done very well at getting the little cub Tlalamba to this age, and she's given her a very good chance. And with her having killed the steenbok, well, her chances have just got even better. Every day in the bush is a battle for survival. And when you see things like this, where a leopard has got a steenbok, well, the steenbok didn't survive to make it through to today, but because the leopard is eating that steenbok, it means that it can survive possibly until tomorrow. She's still feeding on it, not giving the cub anything just yet. She's really making it wait for its breakfast. Still more crunching. See, with that small animal like a steenbok, she could probably eat pretty much the entire animal. Even the hooves, the skull, everything. Obviously the brain is also very rich in protein, so it's one of those like the liver, the kidneys, the heart, the brains, but not always accessible, especially once you get into bigger animals. It's not that accessible to predators like leopard, because I can't crush the skull, but with a small animal like a steenbok, you could probably pretty much crush the entire skull. You should get access to that brain. So let's hope that she sits up, and let's also hope that she gives Tlalamba a little bit of this food. I'm sure she's quite hungry, but I hear that Brent is also sitting in the long grass, just like Tandi.
Yes, I am sitting in the long grass. It's tickling my nose. We're waiting patiently just in case the dogs come this way. It's almost zero chance of us being able to keep up with them on foot. So we just had to sort of guess where to sit and wait. We haven't heard another contact call yet, but we are sitting patiently, and I'm just trying to get hold of Steve and let him know where we want him to go. Steve? Steve, if you're coming from Gari Main, maybe come in at Shabam and head towards Philemon's from there. Here we go.
Okay, come in.
Forming a plan to find some dogs. But my luck's going to be that but quickly across to Rolf. We'll finish this later.
Okay, everyone, the action has just now hit full throttle. There's a hyena that's just run into the area. The little cub has run off and now climbed up a tree. So there's exactly what we're talking about. There's Tandi. She's gone back up the tree with the steenbok. There's the cub up a tree as well. And this hyena now sniffing around the base. And it all happened in a matter of just a second. We just saw the cub running off. Tandi grabbed the steenbok and up the tree she went, and look at the little cub also knowing exactly where it needs to go, and it's now watching the hyena circling around the base of this tree. It also wants a piece of the steenbok, I think. Well, I don't think, I know it does. And it's obviously, it came from downwind. It came from downwind, so it's picked up the smell of this steenbok carcass, and well, wants a piece of the action. And it's a big female hyena as well. We'll see what happens, but everybody in with trying to survive, and that's what we were just talking about. So all the more reason why Tandi needs to be on her toes, and wonderful that the little cub has just immediately gone straight up that tree there. Look at that. It's high enough off the ground that it's safe. Natureville, I very much agree with you. I'm glad that hyenas don't climb trees, because if they did, Tandi would be in big trouble, and so would that little cub. That cub would probably be dead already. But that's one of the evolutionary lines that the leopard have taken to avoid hyena and lions on the ground, and what makes them quite special. They're so adaptable, and it's wonderful to see this, that the hyenas come in, and I think just sniffing around the bases, licking the grass, probably can taste this meal but just can't get to it. Must be really frustrating. And Carol, this hyena could stay here for an extended period of time. It knows that there's food here, and yeah, this could all get quite interesting, because this hyena now has got the smell and probably the taste for blood there on the ground where Tandi was busy feeding on that steenbok. So this hyena now is obviously hungry too, and we know how tenacious hyenas can be. So I'm just waiting for things to possibly settle down a little bit, and then I'll maybe reposition that we can get a better view. I just don't, it's quite edgy for the little cub and for Tandi, so I don't want to disturb anybody. And, well, the cub's still, looking off from a distance there. But from a safe vantage point, I'm not too worried about that cub at the moment. But, well, this is the fights for survival that we were just talking about, everyone. I mean, this hyena now could potentially, attack Tandi if she comes down. It could kill the cub. It could steal the meal. There's anything that can happen. Or they could all, Tandi could stay up there, wait it out. She's going off onto the end of a branch there. I hope that it doesn't break. And, well, Tandi's killed a steenbok, which has taken it away from its little family. So, there's no discriminating in the bush and in the wild. This hyena is hungry, and it doesn't care that the leopard is trying to feed its little cub. She is possibly trying to feed her little cubs. Granny Peg, I definitely do believe that Tandi would have a real fight if a hyena had to get hold of her cub. Yeah, she'd have to fight with her life, and she probably will do. And I'm sure you know that mothers, there's nothing like a mother to scare off anybody or an animal, especially when they put their offspring in danger. This hyena seems to be wandering off a little bit. Maybe it's realized that there's not much chance in it getting any of the meat from that steenbok. Very interesting, eh? That little cub's still up the tree there. I think that hyena's just wandered off a little bit. I can't see if it's carried on going. But, perfect reactions that these two animals had. Tandi grabbed and jumped straight up the tree, and the little one bolted off and found its own little tree to climb up. It'll be interesting to see how it gets down. I don't know if any of you have ever felt the power of adrenaline. I've been able to climb up trees when I've been chased by a buffalo and black rhino, and getting up very high up the tree, and once the animal is gone and the adrenaline wears off, you realize, you're not quite sure how you got that high, because it was almost impossible to get down. So I hope that this little cub is able to get down. Oh, Chris Rogue, thank you for identifying. So this is June, Scarback's daughter. That's brilliant. I do have my little ID pack here, but I'm not looking quite intently at the little spots and things just yet, because I'm more interested in the action here. But thank you so much, Chris Rogue. So June, I think she's one of the higher ranking females, isn't she? That says a lot, because she is a big hyena, and she moved in fast, eh? The only thing faster than her was, and only slightly, was Tandi jumping up the tree. And luckily that little cub picked it up so quickly. I'm sure there's been hyenas around here during the night as well. That's why they were so edgy, and why it reacted so fast as well, because the hyena came bounding in, and if they weren't alert, it possibly would have been straight in onto that steenbok kill. That is absolutely wonderful, all unfolding right in front of us. Lots of excitement. Now, little one, you just need to wait it out again. Shame, your nerves are probably shot. That's probably why Tandi is so tired. She's probably had the whole night of this. It's not only impala that needs to be on edge during the night. Even leopards can be on edge, eh? Especially when they've finally got the prize of killing an animal. They've got food, but what does that do? It just invites everybody into their space. Lions, hyenas, other leopard. So it's almost like, they do need to try and finish the food and get it into their bodies as quickly as possible. Little one feeling a little bit exposed there, I think. Okay, I think I might reposition as well and just get us a better view of both of these and see what's happening here with the hyena. But this is all very exciting. Let's see what's happening over with Steve, however. And is he still with the lions?
No, he left the lions, Ralph. I was getting very busy over there, and then Brent could hear wild dogs. I don't know how he can hear wild dogs, but we've been summoned into the area, and I have no idea exactly what he would like me to do. I'm not sure exactly what he'd like us to do, but just pull over here quickly. Hello. How are you? Have a beautiful morning. One of the landowners there, Patsy. And she would have had a chat to me for about 20 minutes if I didn't tell her I was live. So I needed to say I'm live. Otherwise, it would have lots of pleasantries and things. A lovely lady, though, invited us all around, well, a few of us for dinner about a month and a half ago. Scott, Nikki, myself, Kirst was there. Who else was there? Taylor, of course. Yep, yeah, it was wonderful. We had a nice dinner. Delicious food it was. Delicious food it was. So I'm not quite sure what Brent actually needs from me, Kirst. He hasn't really communicated with me on the radio what he wanted. How he's heard wild dogs. I was hearing on the radio when I was still in Chitwa that there were wild dogs seen on Hoffman's, which is very far from here. So maybe he's been given those updates as well and has got an idea of where they might be. Whether he heard them or not, I don't know how far their calls travel. He is not replying to Kirsten at the moment. Kirsten says that Brent can hear wild dogs because he's part wild dog and part feral. If you saw what his toe looked like, I think you'd agree with the feral part. So we now come all the way around. We've done Twin Dams, we're now Treehouse Dam. And it seems as if Ralph is having all the action this morning, so let's go back over to him.
Well, it seems like this hyena might have moved off a little bit because Thandi has now been contact calling again, and Tlalamba has basically fallen out of that silver cluster leaf that she was in. It wasn't the most gracious descent, but now she's making her way over to the tree where Thandi's in. She's just moving through the long grass. There she is. Well done, Dave. There we go. I think she might be now going to climb up the tree, but I think that hyena has given up the attempt. There we go, little one. Well done. See, I still think a very well chosen tree for this youngster by Mommy. And she's now... There we go, she's coming nice and close to us. And find herself a nice sleeping spot. I think she does want to get herself something to eat, but she's on the wrong branch now. I think that Steenbok was stashed there at a stage. That's where she was previously, so she's now just having a bit of a lick at probably some of the blood. Getting excited about the food that awaits. But it's not there, little one. You're going to have to go and try and ask Mommy very nicely if you can have some. I'd like to have a look once we can. I'm not quite sure on the spot ratio of this little one, but we'll wait and see. So that hyena June, one of the higher ranking females, has moved off, I think. Tlalamba now at the bottom there, looking to get up to Mom, who's now changed position onto that other branch. There she is. Looks like she's relaxing. Her legs now falling down, going into a real leopard sleeping pose. Arms either side of the branch. And there she goes up the branch. Ryan, Tandi, she could potentially kill a hyena, but a hyena could also potentially kill her. It would be touch and go. A big female like that June that was just here, I think would really give Tandi a good go. However, leopards are very, strong and skillful leopard. Tandi, however, she's not the biggest leopard that I've ever seen, and I think that June would really be a good match for her. So it would be interesting to see. But yeah, between hyena and leopard, tough call. I think a big male leopard would be able to do it quite easily. Somebody like Hukumuri, Quarantine, these big male leopards that are around, I think they could definitely give the hyena a good go. But hyena are a tough one. They, I mean, I'm sure you've seen some of the action with the male lions, or lions in general, and hyena. And yes, normally the hyenas do have, more numbers, but they still even give lions a good go. So leopard, they are very wary of hyena in general because of their sheer tenacity and their stubbornness. Ooh, just falling down a bit. As well as their sheer toughness as well. Is that mom coming down? She stashed that steenbok up in the tree, I think. She's now also coming down a bit. She can't leave that meat on the ground. So this little one's going to have to learn to get up in the tree and feed up in the branches. I said we don't have an ideal view from here, but with all this action, we're just not moving around, disturbing it, changing it in any way. And just letting it, if they relax and not much happening, then we can always shift and get a better view. But for the time being, we just need to let things unfold in front of us. Okay, while we see what goes on and how things unfold here, let's head you on over to Brent and see how things are unfolding there.